And the purpose of this breakout session is to share stories and strategies on tsunami preparedness for shore parties. My name is Barbara Lydon. I'm with the U.S. Forest Service. I work out of the Glacier Ranger District in Girdwood. I work in the wilderness program, and I've been out in Prince William Sound working for 12 years now. And while I'm a boat operator, I spend most of my time on the shore doing work, field studies, and camping. And this is Caio Poletti, and he comes to us from NOLS, Alaska. Caio has been a sea kayak, he's the sea kayak supervisor at NOLS, Alaska, but has been instructing sea kayaking for 12 years around the world. So lots of experience, and I'm super stoked to be sharing the stage with Caio today. So I'm going to just start by asking, was anyone out in Prince William Sound last summer, July 28th, when the tsunami warning came through at about 10:15 p.m.? Anyone? I know Paul was. I know because I was with Paul, and it was the first night of our field trip. It was a 5-day trip, and I was really looking forward to this trip for a number of reasons. I was looking forward to the field work we were doing. I was looking forward to my field partners that I was working with. And I was really jazzed about the area we were going to. We were working down in Bainbridge Passage, Bainbridge area. And I actually said out loud, and I said this, I won't have to worry about the Berry Arm landslide. So could you imagine how I felt when I was drifting off to sleep and I heard Paul's voice outside my tent saying, Barb, did you hear that? Hear what? Tsunami. What? Tsunami. I came darting out of my tent and I grabbed my PFD, which was right outside my tent, and I put it on, and I was like, what do you mean tsunami? Well, some good Samaritan had motored up in his boat on his way out of Fox Farm Bay and was yelling at us on the beach, tsunami, evacuate. So that was terrifying. Watching the 6 other boats that were anchored up in Fox Farm Bay just pull anchor and motor on out. So we turned on Marine 16 and heard the U.S. Coast Guard warning that there was a tsunami warning. There was an earthquake off of near Chugach, Alaska, 250 miles southwest of Kodiak. And they were warning of a wave to hit in approximately an hour and a half to 2 hours, and for mariners to either go to deeper water or to higher elevation. So I was with my crew and I said, okay. Like, I was not totally calm, but I was like, okay, we have two choices here. I can paddle out to the boat and pull anchor, come pick you guys up, and we can motor through Fox Farm Bay, which is a pretty shallow bay, and make our way out to Bainbridge and then out to the Gulf, and we can wait for the wave. Or we can head for higher ground. And based on the situation, we decided that it was in our best interest to seek higher elevation. We knew we had a little bit of time, so we started gathering up lots of different supplies, and we grabbed anything and everything that we could. We were grabbing bear cans, warm clothes, communications, and I even grabbed a pack raft and a paddle because I was picturing just it being a wasteland of pickup sticks, right, when we were to come down. So I was like, well, I'm going to need a way to like get to help. So we made our way up the mountainside, and it was basically like hiking through a wicker chair because it was so thick, and it was nighttime. We were traveling by headlamps and through bear country, and it was terrifying, really. We had so much gear as we vertically climbed up, and I felt especially terrible as one of our field partners had just had knee surgery 6 weeks earlier. So it wasn't a good scene. So we hiked for about an hour and a half. And then we finally saw clear skies. And Paul pulled out the inReach and said, "Oh, the tsunami's been canceled," which was a relief, right? But we had just experienced a real live fire drill, and it was crazy. And I think Paul said, "Well, should we hike down?" I said, "Well, no one got hurt hiking up, so we're not going to hike down tonight." So we made our camp on top of blueberry bushes on the side of the mountain, and we spent quite a bit of time just debriefing. Wow, that was crazy. Whoa, what could have happened? What went right? What went wrong? How could we have been more prepared? And actually, the next five days, we really went through these different scenarios, and we really looked at the landscape differently. For every beach that we approached, we were like, okay, where's our tsunami evac route? And it was really interesting having that experience. So I would later on debrief again with the Forest Service about this particular scenario, as we had 2 other field crews out that night working. And it was interesting that all 3 Forest Service field crews reacted differently to the situation. Of course, our situation where we decided to take shelter up higher elevation. We had another field crew that was on the Tenacious out of Cordova, and they were on anchor and heard the warning come through on Marine Channel 16, and they pulled anchor and went to deeper water and waited for further updates. And then we had a third crew out on Hinchinbrook who they just slept through it, so they didn't have a tsunami. So it was interesting to me that all 3 field crews reacted differently. And I do believe that we, considering our situation, I feel like we made the best decision, and my field partners do too. One thing that I felt went really well in my particular situation is what I had at hand. And I just wanted to share with you, I always carry a pretty loaded PFD. And this is pretty typical for me. My coworkers joke that I wouldn't float if I fell in the water because it's so heavily weighted, and I would actually, because I know I've gone in the water with this on. But I wanted to show you guys the contents of this because I think it'll give you a good idea of what you might be lacking, or what you could do, what you could add to your bag of tricks. Because this particular time, we had time. We had an hour and a half. We had a couple hours to prepare and gather up the things. But next time, I might not have that time. I might only have minutes, right? And I won't be able to put together a toolbox of things that I need. So what I always carry on my PFD is I always have my marine radio, and I don't keep this on at all times, but I always have it in my pocket. And a couple other things in my side pocket here. I got some ear protection for my motorboating, a lighter and some sunscreen, just your typical stuff that you need, like hand sani. Day-to-day operations, I got a stainless steel carabiner. I got a nice Gerber river knife attached to my PFD. A whistle, of course. Everybody should have that on their life jacket. I got my Tide table book. Snack, of course. Chapstick. This is a nice Leatherman here. And then I got this handy dandy little backpack here. And like I said, I keep this PFD right outside my tent. And attached to my PFD, I have a nice strobe light. And this is a personal locator beacon. I got some medications. Let's see what else. Got my Write in the Rain notebook with some pencils. I got my fishing license. Very important. For you wilderness first responders out there, I got a soap note. Keeps going. Hang on, there's more. It's a little emergency bag with hand warmers, rubber gloves, signaling mirror, and duct tape. I I have some trash bags just for picking up trash, but this would turn into a little poncho that I could cut a little head out and put it over top of me. And then inside of this bag, I have just some more shore survival stuff, like one of those emergency wrap blankets, some fishing lines, some stainless steel wire, a compass, and some other random things. And so what I wanted to share with you pertaining to my PFD is if that was the only thing I had to grab when running from the shore, sure, I wouldn't be very comfortable overnight, but I would have a lot of the basic communications that I would need in the event of an emergency. So I'm going to hand the stage over to Caio, and I'll circle back around. We have the Forest Service has a lot of strategies that we have in line that really parallel NOLS Alaska, which is really exciting to think about. So
that was a magic bag, just like coming out. That was a rabbit coming out. My name is Caio. I'm from Brazil. I do have an accent, so if you don't understand what I'm saying, I can repeat. I work for NOLS for about 12 years. We work for people who doesn't know what NOLS is an outdoor education school. And we do a lot of sea kayak expeditions all over the world. We do like sea kayak expeditions in Patagonia, in Chile and Patagonia, in Baja, and in Alaska. In Prince William Sounds, I think since like 1982, we started operating here, if I'm not wrong. And all those areas that I mentioned, they're like tsunami areas. They do have earthquakes, landslides, and you have been like creating protocols how to deal with that for over the past 3 decades. As well, we do operate like in rivers and canyons, and some of the systems that we have to deal with like tsunamis is very parallel to flash floods for people who have been in canyons. When the river just like, or the water just come, like what are you gonna do on the canyon? And so like there's a lot of parallel in terms of protocols. I don't know how many people will be here, so I did bring some protocols that we use, and I'm gonna distribute between you all so you all can take a look what we do. Don't wanna pass it on. If you don't have enough, and people who are watching online, you can all message Caio_Poletti@nols.edu. That's my email, and I can definitely send you a version of that in a PDF. So just a segue from the last presentation, like we're gonna talk about a little about the plane that we have been using for our course. We're gonna have about 20 courses running here. Our sea kayak expeditions last from 2 weeks to 4 weeks. So there are longer expeditions. We take people from 14 years old to 30, 40, 50 years old. And most of them are novice people. And our groups varies from 3 instructors to about 12, 10 students. And so groups of like 15 people, they're out there all the time. And right now I have like, I think 3 groups out there. They're gonna have our peak of like 7 groups out there. So it'll be about, you can make the math, about 90 people at the same time there from NOLS. One way that we're managing this whole very armed situation, we're using 2 techniques, avoidance and mitigation. The avoidance of the areas that we saw in the last slide, last presentation, those areas close to Barrier Arm. So our areas that we operate is like south of Point No, close to Chenega Island, and east of Ragged Point. Those are the areas that we are operating. All the area that is like close to Barrier Arm, there's gonna be about 10 to 20 minutes evacuation, or the wave is gonna arrive in 10, 20 minutes to the beach. They're kind of tricky for us to operate it. We are camping, most of the time we are camping the beach. We travel about like 7 hours a day in the water. All the rest of the time we were in the beach. That would be not enough time to get the group together and go to high ground. So one technique that we have been using is like avoidance in the area. We're not operating on the area. Areas that is a little bit like further away, so south of Point No, eastern of Ragged Point, there are areas that we are operating, but we're mitigating the problem, doing like this, the whole preparedness and training from our instructors and our students. Part of the training, like we do a very like on-depth briefing. 3 days before the course, we brief the instructors. The students arrive. When the first thing that happened, we brief them about the possibility of tsunami, not just very arm, but earthquakes. And so everybody's like aware what like the problem it is and how to act. We definitely don't want to be reactive in those kind of situations. I think when the situation happens or like, signs of tsunami happen, we need to be ready to act right away. It's not time to think about it. It's time to act. Part of the training that we do, like we do drills about getting your things ready, run to high ground during the expedition. As well, every single beach that we stop, we have like a role on the group that someone is going to scout for a place for camping, for kitchens, for going to the bathroom. And one of the roles is like to find a place that can be an evacuation route in case of tsunami. So every single beach that we camp, we know where we should go in case of tsunami. And if there's a beach that we don't feel comfortable, there's too much bushwhacking. I was just in the Nassau Fjord in Chenega, close to Chenega Glacier. It was about like 2 meters of snow in the beach. We're just like, something happened, I can't like post holing for, I don't know, about 100 feet above the water. So we just decided to avoid those areas that is like hard to evacuate. So that's kind of more the avoidance area. The mitigating area, the mitigating part of the managing risk, we do have the drills that we do, getting together, run to high ground. And we do have a system of like go bags. And this system of go bags is very similar to your PFD, this magic PFD. But we have, because we take like novice people or clients or students, like they're not that ready in terms of like all this equipment. So instructors carry very similar equipment that Barbara is carrying. Students are carrying carry a bag like that, small bag with them all the time. And they have their PFD clipped to their bag all the time. So they're going to sleep with their go bag. They go to the bathroom with their go bag. So they're ready all the time. This bag here will have like some warm layers, rain gear, water treatment, some basic things for them to live well over a night if they need it, or maybe a couple of nights. Food is something that we take like last minute because we have a bear protocol. There should not be carrying food on our camp. So last minute, we're gonna go to the kitchen, grab like some bags of food and go to the high ground. So that's like a student or participant bag. They'll be going to high ground. And then we have the instructor bag that is very similar to Barbara. One thing that I have been using since last year earthquake that we learned a big lesson. We're carrying like some communication device, in this case in Reach, but also have like cheaper options as Zolio, Spot. Is a two-way communication device that is turned on 24/7. We do carry extra batteries, maybe a couple pack batteries for a month-long course, and usually they last for 7 days if there's no tracking. And our farm or our location that's based in Palmer, they can connect with us in case of emergency. So these are on 24/7. Also, there's a cheap version, the InReach Mini, that is connected to your phone. You can message. We do have like set phones. Set phones are not turned off 24/7. We'll call the base in case the InReach receive a message. So this will not last long, the battery, but it's also a good communication device. And then we have all the standard like VHF radio, just like flares, horns in case like we need to like show ourselves, water treatment, first aid kit, any prescription meds that students may or participants may have. So everything goes inside this bag, clipped to a PFD, and we just carry that 24/7. Just become part of our system out there. Cool.
So I'll just thank you,
Yeah,
Caio.
thank you.
So I'll just piggyback on the whole gear thing. So in addition to the PFD, since that experience, I have put together a grab and go bag, or some might like to call it a comfort kit, right? Because that sounds better. So I'll just show you what I put in here. And my thought is that every time I get off the boat, whether I'm doing field work for 15 minutes or I'm camping overnight, I always have my PFD, but I also have this bag. And I specifically put it in a bag that I could put over top of my PFD, because I want to have my PFD on initially as I'm moving away from the shore. And I'll just show you what I have. And I'll say Caio said that each one of the students carries their own shore survival bag. And I think that's a really important thing, not to be reliant on one person. But in this shore survival bag, this is a Forest Service radio. We have repeaters out in Prince William Sound. We also have marine channels on this. This is a simple bag with a lot of shore survival stuff. Again, it's got an emergency blanket, signaling mirror, knife, matches, lighter, rain poncho. And I got all these ideas from that night I was out with Paul and our other field partner, Gary. So in here I have an inReach, a couple other headlamps. I have an Otter, like a battery bank. And my thought is, hey, if I'm down on Elrington Island and there's an 8.2 magnitude earthquake, I might be down there for a couple of days. So what am I going to need? Well, I'm going to have my cell phones, and I'm going to need a way to recharge them, because I'm going to want them on all the time. I'm going to want a way to recharge my things. We've now started carrying NReaches, and our policy with the Forest Service now is going to be to keep those on 24/7, so that any emergency messages like the NIXL alerts can come through to us. Cell phone, just some hand warmers. I got some synthetic puffy blanket. There's a lot of stuff up here. Oh, this is great. This is an Ursa sack. So I have snacks in here. This is a bear-proof bag. So I don't want to just have snacks. I want to have a way to protect my food and keep myself safe. These are great. I got bear spray. This is all. I have 1 minute to go grab my bag, and I have everything to stay out for a couple nights. A water bottle filled with water. Some flares. Almost there. Medical kit and a rabbit. Just kidding. A tarp. Awesome. That's all we have. Does anybody have any questions?
All right. Yeah, and if you want to know the rest of that story, you come over to Whittier and after we're done, I'll tell you the rest of the story. But I was really glad I was with Barbara. And I don't know, Caio, you guys got a little work to do on your Coke. I'm really impressed. But I was very impressed with Barbara's preparedness. She hopped out of the tent. She was ready to go. Where me and the other 60-year-old, we're like, well, yeah. And we ended up with a 6-pack of beer and a mandolin at the top of the mountain there too. So that's that's what we were thinking. So anyways, any questions for these guys? Yeah.
Either for you guys or maybe Dave, since you're still here, it sounds like your solution for both of your agencies right now is to carry the inReach and keep the battery on all the time. Any knowledge of a device or one in production that could potentially push through a tsunami alert for a turned off device, whether a radio, a phone, or an inReach type satellite two-way communication device?
inReach is challenging also. I'd love to figure out how to solve the inReach problem so that we can push
NIXL.
system that you messaging us with.
Absolutely. And that was my question for anyone. I mean, NIXL alerts are what we often use as our first source, right? And you can't you can't get a nixle alert pushed through to the inReach. You have to rely on your emergency contacts to be awake, to get the message, and to remember that, you know, there's field crews out there that need to be messaged immediately. So, and we happen to have, I have a personal cell phone that is Verizon, and then my Forest Service cell phone is AT&T. So I'm lucky to have both carriers with me. But as you guys know, you know, there's parts of the Sound that don't have any cell phone coverage. So, you know, you have all the tools at hand, but sometimes, you know, they do you no good if you don't know if something's going on. So like Dave said, your first line of defense is just not waiting for a message to get to you, but paying attention to your surroundings, looking at what the water's doing, listening for, was that a big rumble? Did, you know, like listening to the natural things around you, know something's going wrong.
Yeah. And just to add on that, like we learned this 24/7 by experience. We're like carrying the inReach, but if like turn off. People message every day when they arrive at camp, but they stay with the inReach on for 3 hours. We're able to communicate with 2 of the 3 groups that are out there, because one had the inReach on by chance, and the other one had a cell phone on by chance, and the other group we could not communicate it. And since that, we're like, okay, we cannot take that chance. We need to have 24/7 on. Yeah.
Great, thanks. Any other questions? Okay, that's it. Go ahead.
So for like a private kayaker or a personal kayaker, speaking for myself, would you say that the best choice then is to have a go buddy at home and like, you're in charge of my nixle alerts, please text me no matter what time it is, and here's my inReach number? And if you don't have an inReach, then through your cell phone, and try to keep your cell phone on, because there is a lot more cell phone coverage out there than there used to be. But I guess for any individual groups, what would you recommend private boaters out there?
So, yeah, so it's not a bad idea to have a float follow whenever you're out there, regardless of your objective for being out there. So for us, we have a couple different point of contacts. So like our supervisors, the idea is that we have a phone tree, and at least 3 people will be messaging the inReach so that the message gets through. You know, hopefully there's other people that, you know, might not be on that list, like your you know, friends or partners that are also messaging you. When we finally did get that coverage that night up above Fox Farm Bay, the messages were just pouring through. You know, the nixle alerts, the texts, the phone messages. But of course, on the ground, we didn't have that. The issue with the inReach is you have to message someone first from your inReach so that they can then contact you. So establishing those contacts prior to going out of cell phone, out of range is really important.
I agree with that, yeah. Yeah.
All right, thank you, too.
All right.
So much gear around here. Yeah, me too.
I'll just talk from up here while they're clip. So a couple of things. There's still food in the back, so we don't want to carry it home. So for those of you in person, feel free to grab some. Next up, we have Andrew Abayo. He's going to talk about Indigenous Kayaks of Alaska, our last speaker. So these guys close up. We'll make a few other announcements. Again, thank you to our many sponsors that make this symposium possible, and the work of the Prince William Sound Stewardship Foundation. Thank you to the Tetitla Corporation, the Prince William Sound Regional Citizens Advisory Council, and the City of Whittier for supporting today's symposium. Also, thanks to our Prince William Sound Stewardship Foundation Chugach level sponsors, William Melton Media Productions, Bapkin Charters, Drifter's Fish, Colony Builders, Kathy Hodge Studio, and Goodwood Bookkeeping, and the Lazy Otter Charters, and to many of our other corporate sponsors and individual members. Going forward to the future, we're also looking forward to our partnership with the Exxon Valdez Oil Spill Trustees Commission. They're geared up to fund this event for a number of years into the future, as is our same sponsors, and also for the Forest Service WAC program, which is also going to be helping fund many of our projects.